Hello, everyone. This is Henia Espinosa with Just Wish Foundation. Today, we are joined by a mother, a teacher from New Jersey who realized just how much food is being wasted by grocery stores, that she saw this as an opportunity to help her community. Thank you so much for joining us here in Justice Foundation, Claudia Wheeler of SALT Foundation. Hi,
Hi, Henry.
Claudia.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, Claude, just tell us a little bit about your background. What was it like growing up in New Jersey, and kind of how this spirit of giving was ingrained in you even when you were young?
Well, growing up in Jersey City, my mom was a person who always, not only was she constantly giving of her time and giving of things we have at home, to make sure others are okay. She was also very prominent in our church.
Mm,
So that's pretty much where it comes from. It didn't all start out that way. But I also, the same things as I got older and became a mom, I was deep into church,
mm,
and um, part of being in the community and doing things in the community was already ingrained in me from both my
mm.
parents.
It was natural for you. It was you
I think,
see it. You grew up seeing it.
yes, I grew up seeing it constantly from my grandmother all the way. My mom was the same way, my aunts, everyone.
So tell us about that moment when you kind of realized that there was this problem of lack of access to healthy food in your community, and you realized there was a solution. And you know, you saw this because you realized that there was so much food that was being wasted by, by grocery stores. Tell us how that kind of connected, how that came about.
Well, I would say during COVID, it kind of peaked even more. But there was a time during it, about 16 years ago, I was in my church, and a member of my church had already started this type of uh, let's say food
Mm,
rescuing from local Trader Joe's. And there were several days a week that the church itself would get food and give out to the community and give out to church members that also give to neighbors, and just something that was ongoing. And an opportunity opened up for myself to have one or two of those days to pick up the food and do the same thing. Um, I think from that point, it hit me because I was coming from school. It was on my way from school, this pickup, 2 nights a week. I picked up the food and I would take it to my church during on days that we have our services. But then there were also neighbors I noticed that needed the help as well.
mm,
Um, that grew. It grew to where other churches were calling me personally, even though I was working with my church, they were calling me personally. Neighbors were telling me about family members and friends that they knew that could use, even if it's just a slice of sliced bread or some milk or something, just anything to get through the time. And I just continued to do it and just continued to help those who asked for it, and doing it through my church. It wasn't until around 2017, it grew to the point where my husband said to me, you should really start thinking of doing something, starting a foundation or starting a
mm.
nonprofit that actually you're able to get more supermarkets, because of the amount of people that were reaching out to me and that needed extra help. I was
Mm,
finding things to where even at school, when I would bring, extra food to school to teachers, they would tell me they took it to neighbors who were so grateful.
mm,
Um, and not saying that there are people who needed, because at that time the food was so expensive, but there are certain times during families or individuals or people that they know that just needed an extra boost at the time.
yeah.
And so it was just growing that big from that time. And my husband said to, start my own foundation. I disagreed. I said, no, I'm okay. You can just help people through my church the way I'm doing it. And we were on just like around this time, Christmas Eve, during 2017, and I just filled out everything I needed to start Salt Foundation.
Wow. Wow. So you realized also that it's not just like you said, sometimes you just needed that boost. Sometimes people, it's not even sometimes that people don't have the money to buy food, but the access. Sometimes people are sick. People just
Absolutely.
are not able to go to the grocery store to get it. So, was it difficult for you when you were starting out, Claudia, the delivery aspect? Because you would pick them up, the food up from the local Trader Joe's, right?
Right.
Did you deliver them as well, or did you set it up somewhere where they could pick it up?
I was actually delivering. So I was
Wow.
utilizing my own gas and my own vehicle to pick up the food and deliver it to where it needed to
In
go.
your
So
time,
there-
your time,
yes,
you're a
yes,
teacher, you're a
yes,
mom of three,
yes,
yeah? I
yes, yes.
mean, I can just imagine how tough that was for you, managing time as well.
Um, it wasn't as hard. A lot of people think it was really hard. I just think it was something that needed to be done.
Mhm.
And it was one thing that the person that I started helping in my church said to me in the beginning. She said, always remember as you pick up this food and you're serving your community to make sure that you take care of yourself,
Yeah,
self-care. And part of self-care is taking care of my family. So I made sure they were always okay and always knew mom's going to be a little bit late.
yeah,
Dinner was started, in the crock pot
yeah.
this morning. But, I made sure that my family was taken care
I
of. I made
totally
sure
agree
that
with
I
that.
was. Yes.
And
And
yourself too. You have to be healthy and you have to be okay as
absolutely,
well to be able
absolutely.
to do the valuable work. So, did it help, Claudia, that there was an existing relationship with the local grocery stores already? Like you mentioned, there was some sort of arrangement with your church already, right? You kind of just took it to the next level.
Yes. Yes.
So
It did help.
was it hard for you to convince? I understand during this time, did you grow? Did you expand? Did you reach out to more grocery stores at this point, or was it just the one Trader Joe's?
Everything required to have a 501(c)(3) at that time.
Uh-huh.
So in order for Salt Foundation to move forward, we needed the 501(c)(3), which we received within a few months after starting the nonprofit.
Mm.
And that opened the door to partner with two other Trader Joe's, Wegmans, and also a nonprofit organization by the name of Good 360, which also has a lot of other types of donations outside of food that also was a good part of SALT. Then the pandemic hit,
Uh,
and when that happened, that was where I think SALT came out a little bit further, because at that point everything had shut down. It's outside of the supermarkets, and no one was able to go anywhere. And but pickups continued, and I had to
mm,
figure out, what do I do with all of this food that's going to go to waste? And how it started, I called my church and I said, we've got to open the church and open the parking lot for myself to give out this food. And we went
mm,
all on social media, and friends told friends, and members of the church told members, and it just kept going. And that's what grew that part of that's what actually boosted a lot of what has been happening with SALT now, because
mm.
every single day there was either somewhere I was delivering to, I was hosting different drive-through food distributions, trying to maintain social distancing, and also delivering to those who could not leave their homes.
Yeah,
And that
especially the
was that
seniors, I would assume, right? The seniors and
especially seniors, but there were
yeah.
also families, single parents who
Mm,
could not leave the home. They had tiny children, didn't have transportation to get to the food. And that's probably what brings one to my mind, is that every time there was a distribution, I made sure that there were certain bags made to take to this family.
mm,
Every single week, I made sure her and her children received some food as well. So it grew into so many different things that,
mm.
as I was going along, I was writing down what SALT was doing.
So when you look back, Claudia, can you just give us a bit of an idea of how much impact SALT has had in the community? How many families have you helped? How much food? I don't know, we can kind of quantify, but I mean, just give us an idea of how big of an impact your foundation, your good work, the good work of your volunteers has had in the community.
I would say, so very difficult to put a number on it, and I probably could, but it has grown to the point where not only have I been able to deliver food to those in need and also assist soup kitchens that needed extra food, homeless shelter that needed extra food, churches that wanted to distribute to their own communities. But also there are very small community groups as well that do local things within small communities, or even neighborhood watch groups that just need to know about their own neighborhood.
Mhm.
And those, I've helped that deep. And I consider SALT to be not something working against food banks, but I think SALT works right alongside them, because those who are afraid to come out to go to the food bank, or those who cannot go to the food bank for whatever reason, like you said, the elderly, they can't always get out. They need someone to bring things to them. Um, it's grown to the point where I'm getting deeper and deeper into communities that just cannot get what's needed. And especially it's healthy food. It's
Mm.
not, food like working alongside, and I guess this actually has me pumped up as well, because saying when I work alongside the food banks, I'm adding to the fact that people are getting fresh fruit, vegetables that these
Mm.
supermarkets are going to be throwing away.
Yeah.
If you've ever looked at any, pictures that SALT of the food that we pick up, or the things that it's given from Trader Joe's and Wegmans, they're all fresh and not, families not having to worry about picking up some apples every now and then,
Mm.
because even now apples have gotten so expensive. Milk that's so expensive now that there are times when it's time to remove it from the shelf, and not necessarily because it's because of the date, just time to move in the fresh batch, and that stuff would just be thrown away when
Yeah.
there's someone who could use it, and
Yeah.
even for the few days that it's okay to use it, it's there for them to use as well. So it's grown a great deal to the point where we're just digging deeper and deeper into
Yeah.
communities and helping them out. We've worked closely with, in Jersey City, pretty much along in Hudson County, community fridges. I don't know if you've seen that we've worked with community fridges, and those are fridges that homeowners in front of their homes will have a refrigerator that is plugged up, in front of their homes, and they're filled by restaurants with leftover meals. They package them perfectly, label them. They're
Wow.
filled. SALT goes there and filled with fruit and vegetables and bread, and even other bigger organizations constantly round the clock keep their refrigerators filled. Another way for a community, a person in the community that's just afraid to come out and say, I need that extra help, they can just go to the refrigerator and grab what they need.
Mm.
So the community has come together to help each other, because
Mm.
a lot of the community groups are not nonprofit organizations, but they
Mhm.
get the help from nonprofit organizations and restaurants and other ways to sustain themselves.
Yeah. So in a way, you have become a channel also for all these do-gooders to, like you said, come together. Because
Yes.
when there is always strength in numbers, and the more do-gooders out there, the more people will get help. Let's talk about the volunteers at SALT. How important are they in your day-to-day operations?
They are essential, so essential to SALT. For the most part with SALT, I've done everything on my own, working with my teacher salary, barely any funding, and just, donations from local people who just, are just from their heart, just giving a donation. But volunteers are essential because they come in with their heart, because they know they want to work with help with the community. And by Salt is very meticulous about how grocery bags are made, and they're made as if you're going to the supermarket for yourself. You do that
Mm,
for someone else. Treat everyone how you want to be treated.
mhm.
And they come in, they make those grocery bags, they sort through the items that are donated by Walmart, everything, and give the same way with care. They will come and help me now, thank goodness, with deliveries that need to be done, restocking of the community fridges. So for salt, volunteers are very essential.
Mhm.
They would be essential to any organization because they're coming and doing it free,
Yeah,
for nothing, because they care about the
yeah.
community, they care about the work that's being done, and I give kudos to anyone who jumps out to volunteer. Actually, my daughter, when she was in high school, from freshman year, I signed her up for every volunteer thing. So and today she's like, Mom, it's a good thing she did that, because not only she's a little bit more rounded. It helped her to figure out what she wants to do
Yeah.
during in college.
It's
And
leaving a
so
legacy behind too, Claudia, because it's like you're leaving that gift of giving to the younger generation, who will then use that to mark, their own paths in life, and
absolutely.
hopefully that's also a path towards giving back to the community. So, how do you plan to expand your services? Kind of, how can the community step in to help? Are there areas that where you want to do more, um, where you need help
Uh,
with?
I would say not only continuing what's being done, there's a lot of growth in new communities reaching out to SALT. Um, so at this point, it's a matter of for lack of a better word, we don't get a lot of funding to be able to do the
Hmm.
amount of work that we do, and the driving and the vehicles that's utilized to do so. Um, but the expansion, it's there. There are communities that are reaching out. And I mean, my phone's pretty much going off even during the holidays, because food is extremely expensive now,
Yeah.
and so many families can't do what they used to do for their own families during the holiday time. So my expansion would be to reach out to more communities and help them by definitely partnering with more supermarkets who are willing to do so.
Hmm.
Instead of throwing out the food to be wasted, partner with SALT so that
Yeah.
SALT can save the wasted food that might be wasted, and help food insecurity for families and communities and individuals. Um, we've also started working with homeless. So we make sure that the homeless get something to eat, have volunteers who cook meals and make sandwiches, and also sororities who also reach out and work, and they also do the same thing and make sure that the homeless get, whether it's food, something
Yeah.
warm to be in for the winter. So different things. It's a tough nonprofit is really tough, but I think by going with my heart, it'll lead me in the right direction
For sure.
for
And it's
building salt.
fulfilling that very basic human need, which is it's food. It's and it's a win-win situation really for everyone
For
involved.
everyone. Yeah.
For the grocery stores, for the community that needs access to healthy food
Yes.
badly, and you certainly fulfill that need. And as a Just Wish Foundation, Claudia, Mr. Jack, who are founder, we're really inspired by what you do, and we want to help you in any way we can with a monetary donation. And we hope that when more and more people hear about your story, that more and more people will take the time to know about you and
Thank you.
help you, and also maybe do their own, make their own, projects in their communities that will also help those in need. And you not only give food, you give the joy of giving to people. And we are truly inspired by that. So more power to you, Claudia, more power
Thank you so
to Thought
much. Thank you.
Foundation. And thank you for all that you do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Claudia. We'll
Okay.
talk soon.
Bye. Talk soon. Nice to
Bye.
meet you.
So nice to meet you.